You see, most traders think that the biggest problem is strategy. So they spend all their time and effort looking for a better setup, a better confirmation, a better concept, a better trading system. But the truth is, you do not trade the market. You trade your belief about the market. Which means that your results are not just shaped by your trading strategy. They are shaped by your identity, your emotions, and the belief that is running in the background every single time you sit down to trade. Because if the belief is broken, the execution will always break. And that is exactly why in this lesson, I want to talk about something deeper. How to reprogram your mind and your belief for trading. Because until you change your inner operating system, which is driving your actions, you will keep repeating the same emotional patterns over and over again, the same mistakes over and over again, and just get the same results. So with that being said, let's dive into the lesson about mindset. What if I tell you that we are only perceiving 1% of reality? You heard that right. Our sensory organs are only capable of perceiving 1% of reality. Right? So we cannot, right? We don't have the power yet to perceive the objective reality. We can only see our own perception of the reality, right? We can only see how the world works based on our past experiences, right? Based on the limitations of our organs, right? Our eyes, our ears, our nose, blah, 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 right? And if you look at the eyes, there is certain colors that you can't see, right? Because once again, our eyes is quite limited. We can only see like one sort of like color on the entire color spectrum. And then also our mind can only see 3 dimensions, right? Like we can't be in the 4th dimension, the 5th dimension, the 6th dimension, the 7th dimension, because once again, we don't have the ability to actually perceive those dimensions yet, right? So if you look at it fundamentally, this pretty much means that the reality that you perceive is not the same as the reality that I perceive. And it's the exact same thing with trading. You don't actually trade the market. You trade your belief about the market, which means that you need to train your mind to acknowledge the fact that the market that you see is just one of 14 million other versions of the market. One version for every trader that is actively trading the market itself, right? So we all don't trade the market. We trade our belief about the market, which means that your results are not kept by your strategy. They are kept by the belief that is running in the background. This is something that I've talked about a lot inside the self-transcendence course module. So I'm pretty sure you understand what I'm talking about right here. But I want to further drive this point home because I don't think you understand how important the belief are. Because belief actually creates your emotional defaults. It creates your risk behavior, or rather your relationship with risk and failure. It creates what you think you deserve, right? Are you worthy or not? It also creates what you do under pressure, which automatically means that if the belief is broken, the execution will always break. If the belief is broken, you will not get consistent results because your execution will always be inconsistent. If you feel unworthy of the profits, then guess what? The next time you actually make money, you start to self-sabotage, right? By taking trades that is not aligned with a trade plan and give back your profits back to the market itself. Because you didn't believe you were worthy of the profits itself. And this is the main loop, right? It's basically belief leads to an emotion, and that leads to an action, and the action leads to a result, and the result reinforces the belief. Okay, so here's an example. If you believe that I'm not a consistent trader yet. Now the emotion that you feel is, I don't know whether I can do this, man. After all, I am not a consistent trader, right? I am not a profitable trader. So, I don't know whether my trade plan works or not. Okay, so that breeds doubt. And that doubt, or the sense of urgency, right? I need to make money today because I'm not consistent yet. That leads you into taking the action of forcing trades or breaking rules or just not trusting your trade plan in general. And when you take these actions, which is clearly harmful to you, guess what? You get the result that you unconsciously were seeking in the first place, which is messy P&L. Sometimes you lose, sometimes you win. It's very difficult for you to get consistent profits. It's very difficult for you to end the month consistent, end the month profitable, because your execution is just all over the place. And when you get the results that is clearly showing you that you suck at trading, guess what? This reinforces the belief that you are not consistent. This makes you feel sad, makes you feel you are not worthy. And once again, reinforcing this belief right here. And you're stuck in this loop over and over again until you decide to change. Okay, like majority of the traders, they don't change. So as a result, they're stuck in this loop over and over again, right? Because they forget to change themselves. Like they master all the technical analysis, they learn all the concepts and strategies in the world, but they don't change their inner operating system. They don't change their belief system. They don't change their worldview. And as a result, they get the same results over and over again, and they repeat this cycle until they eventually lose everything and until they quit trading. Right? So, reprogram. This is why we need to reprogram, right? Reprogramming is breaking this loop. What does reprogram means? It means deleting the old belief and installing the new belief. That's what reprogramming means. And that's what allows you to break this loop. So there's this quote that I really love by Joe Dispenza, which he says that you cannot change your life from the same mindset that created it. You can't think the same thoughts, feel the same emotions, repeat the same habits, and expect a new reality. It just doesn't work that way. Change begins the moment you think greater than how you feel. When you stop rehearsing the past and you start rehearsing your future. Like I said, nothing changes if nothing changes. If you keep on thinking the same thoughts, feeling the same emotions, doing the same behavior, you are going to get the same reality. Whatever got you to where you are right now, it's not going to get you to where you want to go. You have to change your identity. You have to change your belief. You have to break this vicious cycle. And I'm going to show you how to do it in this particular lesson itself, right? There's a few steps. Like I said, if you just do these 5 steps and you do them consistently, right? You do them no matter what you feel. You do them regardless of your circumstances, regardless of, like your old self trying to pull you back. That is how you change, okay? So the step 1 is to spot the belief. So you want to find a sentence, right? Most belief sounds like simple sentence that you keep repeating. I always mess it up. I can't be patient. I need to make money today. If I miss it, I will never get another chance. This is a once in a lifetime opportunity. I don't deserve to win. So you want to write down the top 3 sentences that show up when you stress. Trust me, every single day when you wake up, you go to the market, these 3 sentences are usually the things that just repeat in your head over and over again, right? Like this is what your subconscious is telling you every single day. Okay, it's very obvious. For me personally, the 3 sentences that I hear over and over again in my head in my first year of trading is, I need to make money today. I suck at technical analysis. I can't control my emotions. Right? So those were like the 3 beliefs that I tend to, tell myself over and over again, right? So it was infectious, right? It was simply like a disease. It's very harmful and it caused me to actually believe it, right? So just write down those 3 obvious sentences that, you keep repeating it in your head over and over again. Okay? Just write them down. Next thing, find the evidence trail. Where did it came from? Ask yourself, when did I start believing this? Who taught me this? What movement made this feel true? Because most beliefs are old programming, not reality. And the interesting thing is that, like, believe it or not, but majority of the beliefs are formed in your first 7 years. Right? Like from the minute you pop out of the womb up until the age of 7, this is where you are observing the world around you, right? How your parents behave, what your friends are doing, what your teachers are telling you to do, right? Like these people around you, they are installing the belief, their belief onto you, right? So whatever you believe right now is most likely a belief that you had acquired from the society, from your parents, from your teachers, from your peers, since you were young. So those are not your belief actually. It's just that it's the belief that the world has imposed onto you, which also means that you can break out of them, right? Which also means that you can just get rid of them because once again, those are not your belief in the first place, right? So just ask yourself, okay, where did I learn this? Okay, like what happened in this particular scenario that caused me to believe in this, right? Maybe, let's say right now, I believe that I don't deserve to win. Okay, when did I start believing this? Well, maybe growing up, my parents were always, like arguing with each other over the importance of money, like just pinching pennies and all that stuff. And they all keep on saying that they are not worthy of success. Okay, and since I keep on hearing them say that same sentence over and over again, now I feel not worthy of success as well, right? Because my parents is better than me. They are the authority figures in my life when I was growing up, right? So if they are saying that we are not worthy of success, then yeah, I believe them. We are not worthy of success, right? So I started believing this when I was young, okay? And that was taught to me by my parents. And then it was probably like reinforced when we had the opportunity to make money, but because of my parents' lack of belief, they gave up the opportunity, right? So that moment made that feel true. And that moment reinforced the belief that we are not unworthy, right? So now that I start trading, I really believe that I'm unworthy of profits. I'm unworthy of becoming profitable, right? So this was, the origin point of this particular belief itself. And like I said, if you, just follow the trail, you realize that once again, the belief is not yours in the first place. It's some form of authority figure that have installed the belief into you, or society has convinced you that it's true. Okay, so once again, just follow the paper trail. The next step is to identify the payoff. Why you keep the belief in the first place. Now, this is the part that people avoid, right? Because, like I said, as humans, we tend to repeat the actions that we got rewarded for in the past. And we tend to stop doing the stuff that we got punished for in the past. For example, if when you were 6 years old and, let's say you went to a sushi restaurant with your parents and you saw this green pasting, which looks like green tea ice cream, right? But your parents know that it's wasabi. But then you didn't know it, right? Because it's your first time looking at this green pasting, right? So as a result, you eat one scoop of wasabi. Yep. And then you immediately spit it out. It's like, what the hell is this? This is not sweet. This is disgusting. Okay, so now after that moment, you never ever eat wasabi again because you know that wasabi is not this green tea ice cream, right? It's this horrendous, spicy tasting thing. Okay, so and that belief led you into your adult years. Whenever you see wasabi, you just don't even bother looking at it. You don't even bother opening a packet of it because you know that it sucks. Similarly, right? Maybe when you were young, you were good at cooking, or rather let's say drawing. Okay, let's say you draw, you did some scribbles, and then you gave it to your parents, and they say, "Wow, good job, John. You're gonna be an artist in the future, right? That drawing looks majestic, right? Very, very nice." Now, guess what? You got rewarded for your painting, right? You got rewarded for your drawing. So the next time you start drawing, you're going to feel more confident to draw again. And then the art piece is going to look even better than the first time around. And now you follow into your adult years, and now you really believe that you are the greatest painter in the entire world because your parents say that you are good at drawing, right? Once again, you tend to repeat the behaviors that you got rewarded for in the past. Okay, so same thing right here. What do I get to avoid if I keep this belief? If I believe that I'm not consistent, I avoid the responsibility of being consistent. If I believe that the market is against me, I avoid accountability. If I believe that I need to win today, I avoid sitting with discomfort. And if you go down to the root cause, you realize that every limiting belief protects you from something. Whether that's pain, whether that's uncertainty, it always protects you from something. And the next step is to replace it. Okay, here's the interesting thing. It's very difficult for you to get rid of the old belief, but it's easier for you to replace it. Right? It's the same thing with bad habits. It's very difficult for you to quit smoking, but it's easy for you to replace it with vape. Right? And then eventually you replace the vape with breathing air or something like that. Right? So you can see it's difficult to just completely get rid of a belief or a habit, but it's easy for you to replace it. And replacing it, that's the starting point. Right? When you can replace it, then you can start to install a new belief. You can start to reinforce the new belief. So here's a bad example of this, right? So right now you believe that you're unworthy of profits. And now if I tell you to believe that you are the best trader alive, you are not going to believe it, right? It's like, because once again, you haven't given yourself sufficient evidence to support the fact that you are indeed the best trader alive, right? So what happens is that your nervous system will reject it. And once again, this is something that is very outcome oriented, right? It's very difficult for you to believe that you are the best trader alive when you don't have the evidence to support this belief. Good replacement is grounded. It's more process oriented, right? So for example, the old belief is I'm not consistent at trading. Well, the new belief, instead of I'm the best trader alive, it could be I'm becoming consistent by following my rules one trade at a time. Is this something that's within your control? Yes. Is this something that is realistic? Yes. Is this something that is process oriented? Yes, it is. Which means that you can do it today. And if you do it today, eventually you're going to get rewarded for it. And that reward will reinforce this new belief. Okay, so I want you to use this structure. I'm the type of person who waits for A+ setups. I'm the type of trader who respects stops without negotiation. I am the type of trader who can be bought and still be disciplined. Like I said, it's all about shifting your identity. The best way to change your belief is to change your identity. Okay? It's not to focus on the actions, but focus on the identity. Similarly, if you're trying to quit smoking, you cannot be saying stupid shit like, I will only smoke 1 stick a day. Or I will cut down to, like just maybe smoking when I'll finish my work. No, you're gonna retain that habit. You have to say, I am not a smoker. Once you start believing that you are not a smoker, you will steer away from cigarettes. Same thing for if you're alcoholic, same thing if you're gambling addict or gaming addict, whatever it is, you must start off with the identity. I am not an inconsistent trader. I am the type of trader who execute my trade plan consistently. Okay, now you automatically act in accordance with your belief, with your identity, right? So yeah, do that. The next step is to install a new belief. Once again, a belief isn't changed by logic. You can't just boom, get rid of the old belief and install a new belief like right now, today. No, it needs 3 things: repetition, emotion, and proof. Repetition, you need to consciously install the new neurological pathways in your brain. And you do that by ensuring that you repeat the same action over and over again for an extended period of time. You need to feel an emotion, right? Like I said, you need to really feel that you are actually changing. You need to feel the feeling of consistency. You need to feel the feeling of discipline, right? You need to really shift your emotional state, because when you do this, you are changing your vibration. You are changing your frequency, your energy. And then you also need to get proof to further reaffirm this belief. And guess what? Proof only comes when you have done the thing consistently enough for the market to reward you, right? So it's really like this virtuous cycle, right? Where you believe this new thing, and you do the new thing, and you get rewarded for doing the new thing, and this further reaffirms the belief that the new belief actually works, right? And then you just do this cycle, this loop over and over again. That's how you install the new belief. That's how you install the new neural networks in your brain. So for the next 7 days, do this, okay? Every morning, read your new identity belief out loud. Feel the emotion of it being real. Calm, certainty, courageous, discipline, focus. Really feel the emotion. Visualize that one scene where you act it out. Once again, remember, your brain doesn't know the difference between your imagination and reality, which means that when you do this, what you're doing is that you are actively rehearsing your future. Because change begins the moment you think greater than how you feel. When you stop rehearsing your past and start rehearsing your future. And subconsciously, you are literally getting rid of the old you and installing the new you. And guess what? When you do that, your conscious body is going to be taking the actions that is in alignment with the higher self. in alignment with the new belief, the new identity that you have installed into yourself. That's how powerful this is. And then every single night, you want to write one proof that you have lived it today. Write one moment you have broke it and what triggered it. And decide the one adjustment for tomorrow. The goal for doing this is not to punish you. It's just to make you more aware. It's just to make you more conscious. Because the minute you decide to be more conscious of yourself, right, that is where your unconscious self start losing control over you. Every single time you get conscious of your unconscious patterns, the pull that the unconscious self have over you starts weakening, which means that you are slowly but surely taking back control of your life. That's how powerful this is. Okay, this is how you build evidence. This is how you build competence, right? Competence comes from evidence. Now, here's the belief ladder, right? So this is like a trick that I want you to have at the back of your pocket, right? Whenever it starts getting too hard. If a new belief feels too big, right? It feels too like audacious, feels too difficult to attain or difficult to install into your system, you want to just break it down by using a ladder. Okay, so for example, your belief is, I can't be disciplined. Okay, that was your old limiting belief, which once again doesn't serve you. Instead of having a new belief that say, I can be disciplined, I must be disciplined, right? Which seems very difficult for you to do at the start because you can't just go from a guy who doesn't work out at all to a guy who's, working out consistently 7 days a week, 2 training sessions a day, right? No, you cannot make that 180 switch immediately. You need to slowly ease into it, right? Which means that you need to break the new belief, which is I must be disciplined, into steps that you can actually take every single day and you can actually measure it, right? For example, I can be disciplined for the next 60 minutes. For the next 60 minutes, I can just review and execute the trades according to my trade plan. That's it. I don't have to do it for the whole day. Just do it for the next 60 minutes. This is so that I can build momentum, right? This is so that I can build this belief into like a habit. I can follow my rules for the next trade. Can you do that? Yes, you can, right? It's just one simple action which once again further reinforces the belief that you are a disciplined trader. I can stack one day, I am disciplined, right? So you can see it's a ladder. We start from small steps, taking baby steps, and then eventually take even bigger steps. And then eventually, slowly but surely, you do it consistently enough, you have just built a new belief. And a new belief have just overpowered the old belief. And this is how you release the old you and integrate or walk into the new you. So here's some examples, right? When it comes to trading. Scarcity belief, I need to make money today. Your new belief is, my job is execution, the money is a byproduct. Urgency belief, if I miss this opportunity, I'm done, I'm cooked. There will always be another setup, right? The next bus is coming in the next 5 minutes. Worthiness belief, I don't deserve to win. I don't deserve to make money. I deserve the outcome of my process. Once again, you realize that I didn't put I deserve to win. No, you don't deserve shit, right? The market doesn't owe you shit. You deserve to be rewarded if you execute your process consistently. If you actually done the preparation, the research, the analysis, you deserve it. But if you don't, you're not entitled to anything. Okay, so I deserve the outcome of my process. Control belief. I must predict to win. No, you don't have to predict the future in order to make money in the market. That's not how this game works. Here's the upgrade. Trading is a game of probabilities, not a game of certainty. Which means that if I can manage my risk, I can play the odds, I will win in the end. Right? So that's, once again, a new belief. So, old belief, new belief, old belief, new belief. That's how you can slowly but surely rehearse the new you. And when you rehearse it long enough, you start to believe in it. And when you start to believe in it, you start to act in accordance with it. And suddenly you are no longer the unprofitable trader who's inconsistent with his actions, who's giving back the profits back to the market, who's self-sabotaging all the time. And suddenly you're just a new person who just doesn't do those behavior anymore, right? It's like you don't even remember that old unprofitable self because now you have ascended. Now, this entire thing works because you stop trying to force discipline with willpower, right? Notice how I didn't ask you to, just be disciplined, just do the hard things, especially when you don't feel like it, come hell or high water, just work, no, that's useless, right? Because that's still me trying to change your actions. but I understand that I cannot change your action. Or rather, it's pointless to change your action, because if I change your action or I convince you to do so, the next day or the next week, you're going to get back to doing the same old actions which didn't serve you. So I much rather change the belief. I much rather change your identity. You change the identity driving the behavior. And when beliefs change, your default actions change. And when your default actions change, your results change. Right? So I hope you have really understood how important this is.